Welcome back. In this video, as promised, we're going to be examining the cycle of fifths and specifically how it's relevant to designing your practice routine. To recap briefly, by the cycle of fifths we mean moving through the keys, changing the tonic of the key by an interval of a fifth each time. So from start in the key of C we move 5 notes to G and work in the key of G major. From G we go 5 notes to the key of D. From D 5 notes brings us to A, and we continue this process until the cycle is complete. So what's so important about the cycle of fifths? Well, one thing to note is that on each change of key as we move through the cycle, just a single note of the scale changes. And specifically the 7th note of the new key becomes sharpened. So from our starting position at C, remember key of C has no sharps or flats, we have the notes C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Move that on by a fifth to the key of G, we have the notes G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. Move that on by a fifth, brings us to D, where the scale has the notes D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. Moving that by a fifth brings us to A. We have the notes A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. Fifth from A brings us to E, and the notes E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, E. From E, fifth, brings us to the key of B, B, C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B. From B, fifth brings us to the key of F sharp. We can start on this low F sharp down here, and we have F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B, C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F sharp. From F sharp, fifth brings us to C sharp, and the notes C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B sharp, C sharp. So you can see we've now sharpened every single note of the scale. Unfortunately, we still have 4 keys to go and no more sharps to use. How are we going to cope with this? Well, very simply, we start turning the sharps into flats. So our next key from C sharp would be G sharp, but remember that this note G sharp can also be called A flat. It lies in between the G and the A, so it's a sharpened G or a flattened A. So if we call this A flat instead of G sharp, we now have the key of A flat, which will contain A flat, A sharp we now call a B flat, the B sharp, remember the semitone interval between B and C, so the B sharp is simply a C natural, the C sharp becomes a D flat, D sharp becomes an E flat, E sharp becomes F natural, the F sharp would then become a G flat, but remember this is the 7th note of the scale, so we sharpen that up to become a G natural before we return to the A flat. So we now have the key of A flat, which consists of A flat, D flat, C, D flat, E flat, F, G natural, A flat. So from now on, as we move through the cycle of fifths, instead of adding a sharp each time, we remove a flat each time. It's the same process, it's just a slightly different perspective on it. So from the A flat, our next key would be E flat. So we would have the notes E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat, C, D natural, and E flat. Moving a fifth from E flat brings us to B flat, where we have the notes B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G, A natural, B flat, a fifth from B flat, brings us to F, where we'd have the notes F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E natural, F, moving a fifth from the F, brings us back to C, the final flat is removed, so the B flat becomes a B natural, and we have the scale of C, C, D, E, F, G, A, B natural, C, and we're back where we started, in the key of C, with no sharps or flats, and the cycle is complete. So, the other important feature of the cycle of fifths comes when you're practicing your chord progressions. If we go back to our first chord progression of 1, 4, 5, you'll find as you move through the cycle of fifths, each change of key introduces just one new chord. So our 1, 4, 5 in the key of C consisted of the chords C, F, and G. Move the fifth in C to the key of G, and the 1 chord is G, the 4 chord is C, and the 5 chord is a new chord of D. We move from G to the key of D, the 1 chord becomes D, the 4 chord is G, and the 5 chord is now a new chord A. So on each change of key, the 5 chord of the previous chord progression becomes the 1 chord of the new chord progression, and a new chord is added, forming the 5 chord of the progression in the new key. This way, as you work your way through the keys in the cycle of fifths, at each stage you're reinforcing 2 chords while learning 1 new chord each time. And this is quite a steady way to make progress. Okay, that I think is all for this session. In our next video we're going to be looking at our next chord progression, in the course of which we'll be meeting our first minor chord. So until then, goodbye.